Thanks for tuning in again, everybody. We're back with your favorite podcast, Luka's Tigers and Bronze. Oh my.
I'm going to let Cage actually kick us off here because, we met in early...
Because you're lazy?
We met in early 2020. I say met, we met on Instagram, and I reached out to you, and you've been more than helpful to me. So I knew before you joined our episode back in August, it would be dynamite. It would be killer. It would be straight fire. Cage was a little caught off guard, and here we are 4 or 5 months later, and your episode is consistently in the top 3, top 5 of when people say, I learned the most from the Bronamath episode.
Nice.
Bronamath helped me find an edge with Yu-Gi-Oh cards, Pokemon cards. People consistently bring it up. And Cage, tell me if I'm wrong. We just did the Zoom on Friday. How many times did people bring up the Bronamath episode? So we wanted to
By the way, this is your introduction. You just introed him. This should be part of it. And you're 100% right. So Luka Nation, if we leave that in, great. I think we should. We did like a New Year's Zoom with Luka Nation. Hopefully, a lot of people were involved, and we did a little video about it and the whole deal. And we asked a lot of folks. We asked, hey, talk about last year. What are some of your favorite things we did? What are some of the cards you picked up? We just had a general chat. This is Luka Nation really is a community. Trying to build it up. And the repeated refrain, besides the fact that everybody said their Grail card is Jackie Robinson, which I found interesting. Everybody wanted a Jackie Robinson card, which is just, it is what it is, I guess. But everybody said to a T, their favorite episode was the Bronamath episode. And one of the best parts that they have is to be in our groups and be able to have access to us and to you and how much you help them, which is, literally a repeated refrain.
That's flattering. Thank you. I appreciate that.
Immediately, I messaged Andrew and I said, we have to have him back on. He should be one of our first guests, if not our first guest of the new year. We got to get him back on because our audience has grown exponentially, just as cards have grown exponentially since we had Brandon on. I want more people to get that same, value out of him. Not to mention, we have to pat you on the back. We got to give you some kudos, man, because if you go back and listen to the episode that you did, and we kind of put you on a spot and said, hey, tell us what's out there. Tell us what's going to pop this year. You were Pokemon's going to fly. You were buy Dragon Ball Z. You were buy comics. You were buy hockey cards. Basically every single thing you touched on was gold last year. And we'll get into whether they're still gold, whether they've had their run. You brought in expertise on trying to buy things before they become hot. You brought in expertise on grading from a personal perspective, BGS versus PSA. And it just, guys, so first things first, before I, lead into questions and we get Bronamath here to do his thing and tell everybody where they can find him, is go back and listen to that first episode, because it really is a great episode. And it'll also be helpful to listen to this now, because we're going to kind of go back and look at how the market's changed since then, and whether or not Bronamath has the same kind of thoughts on those things, different, whether or not he's doubling down on them, and it'll provide extra value that way. So listen, normally guests come on, they say, hey, thank you for having us. I'm going to just stop you before you even get a chance to do that, and I'm going to thank you for coming on, because really our group of listeners, our Luka Nation, they are very thankful. So on behalf of them, thanks for the episode, and thanks for the continuing help that you're providing for our guys, whether it's by DM, you name it. One of the things I'll never forget is you said, I'll build a box for people. Like, people will come to me and they don't know about, I should have taken you up on it, because at the end of the episode, I'm like, I'm going to have you build up a Dragon Ball Z box for me, put together a package of cards. And I never took you up on it. I wish I did, because it didn't make it. You could have just drew Dragon Ball Z on an index card and put it in a box for me, and it would have went up 10x, because that stuff's on fire.
It is.
So I do the introductions. Brandon, can you say hello to Luka Nation real quick while we're 5 minutes into the episode?
Hey guys, how y'all doing, man? I'm glad to be back. I appreciate the kind words from some of you guys, and my objective is just to help out whoever I can. The hobby can be a very great place and also a scary place if you're new. It can be very intimidating, but it shouldn't be that way. And I think you guys and your podcast do a great job of allowing people to feel comfortable, and the chat that we have is comfortable. And I think it's huge to you guys, a big testament. And it's not easy to achieve in this hobby. Everyone looks out for themselves, and when you have people that are in a network, in a group that help each other out, I think that's extremely valuable. So hats off to you guys.
We may get enough of a response to this So we may start a Luka Nation Bronamath group where we put you in it, and people could just come in and ask you their questions. Like Q&A for Bronamath. No, because I mean people love it, and it's just a wide breadth of fun stuff, right? So, where do we jump in, Andrew? Where do we start off with them? Because
I'm always curious. We actually had Card Collector 2 on as well, and he's going to be an episode that we release very soon here. And
good guy.
He's a good guy. He's a businessman first. So I'd love if you could talk about, 1, 2, or 3 things that you've picked up as a businessman. You're a franchise owner, or successful owner of a business that, are transitive, that you could apply to sports cards. Just start really macro, and then we'll start getting into the weeds as we go on with this episode.
Okay. I think in the first episode, I had mentioned to not be afraid to spend. And I think that still applies now. And that's one of the business aspects to it, is not to be afraid to spend the money. Don't look at the now, look down the road. And too many people, I think, in the hobby get caught up with what's hot now and buy at the peak because they're in the moment. Well, that card's done with, or that item's done with. You need to look at what's going to be the next now. And, I think that's the biggest aspect for me, for business, is always looking down the road, whether that's a 5-year plan or 2-year plan, or even with cards. Gary Vee had said it pretty good. I mean, I think it is day trading. And I think you need to look at it in that regard. And I don't want to say so much day to day, but maybe week to week, month to month. So I think you need to look at it a little bit more in that aspect. And I think you'll do a lot better than looking at now, what's hot now. When something blows up so quick, you have to worry a little bit.
So this actually, Cage and I were talking about this today and last week, and you put this in your story. You said, while everyone's looking at basketball, I've been buying baseball. But at the same time, people seem to be catching on to that buy in the off-season trend a lot sooner they may have in previous cycles. So how do you spot that cycle, maybe before it's coming? And it's come a lot earlier in these recent months, hasn't it?
Yeah, with baseball especially, I've been buying – probably say for the past 3 months, and just watching the market start to move. I think it has a lot to do with basketball rookies not doing anything. Like, no one's out there that you're like, wow, that's Zion, that's John Morant. You had that last year. I mean, the seasons are a little bit more muddled as well, so that makes things a little bit difficult to navigate through. But I think people are bored. I don't think there's any product out right now that is making anyone exciting. They push back NBA Prism. I think if NBA Prism would have came out, you would have seen a lot more money flooding into that versus baseball. And I think people are bored. I think people are buying more baseball knowing that it's going to take off. And once people started to realize people were buying baseball, they all had to jump in on the wagon. I mean, look at Tatis's stuff is through the roof. Wander Franco's stuff's through the roof. I still think their stuff has more room to go come season, but I think people are just bored. The hobby get bored.
Let's use Tatis, because that's my favorite topic, right? So the card was down to 150 and change, and now just the paper rookie, we use that one. It looks like it's 225, 250-ish, right? So you actually just said something that I didn't think about. I had not even thought about it until right now, and I it's great. So you're not supposed to ask questions you don't know the answer to, but I'm going to do it anyway, right? So I have a bunch of Tatis, and I'm getting a lot of offers. And I was thinking, I'm just going to hold them. I'm going to hold them until the season. I'm going to hold them until right before the season. I'm going to hold them until, the end of March, April, maybe hold some of them during the season. Maybe Tatis is one of those Luka, Zion type of guys that he's just going to keep going up, you name it. But one of the things I didn't factor in the equation is the flow of money. And you're right. Right now, Hoops Premium is not taking money away from the Tatis buying. But I believe the release date for Prism Basketball is March 3rd.
Is it?
March 3rd, right? Okay. So let's say end of February, first week of March.
They keep pushing it back. It's ridiculous.
Let's even say it's the second week of March, but it's in that window. And that window means people are going to have money being dedicated to Prism Basketball, even with a weaker rookie class, but still a rookie class nonetheless, LaMelo and, Wiseman, and there are some decent names in it, Anthony Edwards. Does that mean that the time to sell Tatis is before those Prism come out? Will we see a dip? What do you think?
It's a roller coaster, right? I mean, we're back up to where Tatis was last year playing as an MVP caliber, like that peak. It's where it's at. He's all around, and I think he goes back up. But then if we go dissect it a little bit deeper, the quantity stuff, the high pop stuff, I think you need to get out of most of it when it starts to peak. and then redirect those funds into numbered parallels, Mother's Day, Father's Day, Independence Day, stuff like that, because there's only so many of those. I'm a big believer in pop control. And there's a lot of flagship paper, there's a lot of flagship chrome-based stuff out there. And if you can sell 5-6 of those and get yourself a really nice piece that's, $2,000, $3,000, that has potential to touch $5-6 grand, I think that's a smarter play. Takes up a lot less room too. And I just think it's, to me, that's the play to go with.
Well, I'll ask from personal experience. I just bought a Tatis Topps PSA 10 Gold, right? But I'm wondering, and I don't know the right answer here, but like, let's say I got that for 2,000. Let's say it goes to 4,000, right? It doubles. But what if I'm able to pick up Tatis, just the flagship at 175, and that's a $400 card?
Well, I'm touching at 175. It's a good buy-in. Anytime that you can get in below where the height was before, I think it's a good buy-in, especially on a player like that. You're just seeing the out of season, in season roller coaster that we all experience. I think right now we're probably going to see a dip in some of the guys that got boosted up, like Tatis, like Wander Franco's base mojos, stuff like that. Like that stuff will come down a little bit, but come season, don't get it twisted. When Wander Franco gets caught up, his stuff is going to be on fire. I think it's going to be huge, and I think it supersedes basketball Prism. And I say that because I just don't. Before previous basketball Prism would come out and you would be prospecting, right? Just like when Bowman comes out, you're prospecting. Okay, well, I think that, Denny is going to be great, so I'm going to buy a bunch of him. Denny hasn't looked phenomenal. I don't know if I want to spend the money that I was going to spend on Denny now. So I think there's a little bit more apprehension in spending the amount of money you wanted to in prospecting, because now you've already seen the product. Where's the prospecting fun in that? And I think I don't think it's going to scare a lot of people. I think you still have like the high-end guys buy in, but I think the middle to lower tier guys may not be investing as much in basketball Prism as they would have done if it was released in December like last year.
Not to mention the way I used to invest in Prism was to open packs. I'm not opening packs this year.
But you know what? If you did that last year, you'd be fine. Look at all Kyle Guy in preseason, Bull. I mean, all those guys. I got rid of all those guys. I was only collecting Morant, Zion, and I was going after low-numbered stuff off of eBay that had huge gains.
Right, but I have a bunch of those guys, Brandon. I have a bunch of those guys because I was, I tell people all the time, I can't do this now, but my local shop was able to get me a case, a 20-box case of blasters for $20, and he charged me $400 for a case of retail blasters. He's not getting that this year, and if he does, it's not going to be anywhere near that price. The guy's not an idiot. But the thing has that's why I have a box in my basement of just stuff I didn't sell. Kyle Guys, Bol, Keldon Johnson. I didn't give a shit about Keldon. I got like 4 Keldon Johnson base cards. I found a silver.
But you bring up something that's really important, I think, to the grand scheme of things, is that the buy-in entry is so much more now than it was last year. So how much ROI are you actually going to have? If you're going in to buy product to rip it, it's going to be hard to climb that hill up again. And then, if you look at it from the aspect of just straight ripping the wax, you're going to fall flat. And if you look at it from an investing standpoint, everyone's going to have all those pieces marked up to be able to get their initial back.
Exactly.
So now you're in a tug of war, and guess what? There's something else out there that's undervalued that you should be going after.
Well, this is the craziness of that. I think when that happens and the price comes out, you name it, I think you can actually see cards from the prior years go up. That whole rising tide, right? Because if somebody opens a box of Prism this year for $3,000 or $4,000, whatever the hell it's going to cost, right? And they get a decent box, but it's filled with Denny rookies and it's got some Wiseman. They got to sell Denny's base Prism raw for $150, $200, or else and even that they're losing money. Like just to get back some of the money they're going to sell.
Well, look at football Prism this year. It was extremely expensive out the gate. Joe Burrow, Herbert, all their pricing was insanity out the gate. You look at Kyler Murray last year, you could have got his bases for like $20, $30.
Yep.
You're just not going to see that anymore. And what you've seen is Kyler starting to go up. What you've seen is hockey this year. Alexis's pricing was so expensive out the gate. You're starting to see Connor's pricing go up. So it's that Zion effect, right? So who's the catalyst that's going to shoot everyone up? it was Zion, and then all of a sudden you saw Luka, then you saw Jason Tatum, and all the guys that were undervalued all started to shoot up. If you were smart, you were buying those guys. You weren't necessarily buying Zion.
Right. Yeah, I mean, listen, it's crazy to see what happens. I mean, the other thing that gets you a little nervous is, does the Prism stuff come out, basketball, at the prices that it's going to come out at? And people are like, I'm not paying that for, Anthony Edwards and LaMelo Ball, who's currently not starting. Who knows?
Yeah.
I don't know. I think right now with breakers, I don't think it matters what price they put on it. I think
No.
they'll all get broken.
No, I think the breakers are a completely different category, separate from what any of us do in this chat or anyone that listens to this podcast. I think, that's more of a gambling aspect to it. And I don't think, necessarily we're running that type of a gamble. I think we're more of a calculated risk than a gamble. Yep. So I wouldn't categorize them with us. They're always going to get their money because people look at, a case break. Like for me, for instance, I was doing case breaks of Bengals in Prism football because it was undervalued. Compare it to the Chargers, it was, a solid 30% less. And I think Joe Burrow is going to be an absolute stud come back, and the hype alone of him coming back from injury is going to increase his pricing, fix with that, whatever they do in the offseason. So for me, he's my play is Burrow, and I was buying case breaks of them and doing really well off of it. But yeah, I go for what's undervalued, whether that's a case break or, something I see in the future coming up.
So it's a good segue, right, Andrew? What's undervalued right now?
I still think comics are undervalued. I know you and I had spoke about that last time, and all those books that I were buying are gone through the roof. And I've actually now seen the data. I'm a lot more firm in buying some more comics. And the way that we've seen people get called up into the league, or the people have a great performance, it's the same way with the comics now. You guys watch Mandalorian?
Yep.
All right. You remember when Luke came out and just completely shocked the world that he was in that episode?
Mm-hmm.
All Luke Skywalker's stuff, Star Wars 1 comic, quadrupled.
Yep. So are you looking at like a Marvel movie pipeline?
Correct. So there's different platforms when Disney just came out with their entire catalog for new movies and shows coming up. Smart investing would be looking at some of those first appearances comics of those guys, like Moon Knight. Like my buddy is big on that because he's going to have a solo movie apparently with some tie-ins. I think the actor is the same actor that was Finn from Star Wars. So there's a lot of things like that you could look into. I've got a lot of Boba Fett books. He's getting his own show. I mean, I think he's an iconic character in that era, and all of his stuff's gone through the roof. And I think it will continue to go up. So it doesn't matter if it ever dips to me, because I know come the show or the movie, it's going to go back up again because the hype is there. Granted, his stuff has gone up and it's not coming down. But yeah, I think it runs the same parallel with sports cards as the comic books do now.
I love it. All right, comics. I mean, we talked about it. I think I remember I definitely told the story once. It's probably on our episode about how I was going to buy the Hulk #1 for Ian, but he didn't like it because it was gray. It was a gray Hulk. Yep. I'm pretty sure that was our episode. But we'll
I'd be curious to see what that value is now.
Oh, forget about it. I'm sure it's 10 times what it was. I mean, we were talking about, one of the, I think it was a 96 grade. It was like, one of the top, graded ones was like $300,000. Then it might be $1 million comic book now. Who the hell knows? I mean, it's just crazy. So it'll be easy for me to roll into it. We've seen a lot of, you are like our TCG guy, right? So we've seen a lot of appreciation since we last spoke and during the year on TCG. And that's everything. But let's just start with Pokemon, because I consider you one of the experts in Pokemon. And you came in the last time and you were like, the Japanese stuff is hot. You buy the Japanese, and Japanese obviously has done really, really well. Right at the day after our episode, it'll be a little flex here, Andrew. I apologize. But the day after our episode, I went out and I bought I just hit buy it now. I bought one of the Japanese Charizard PSA 10s on eBay for like $3 and change. And I sold it 2 months after for like $9. So it was a great return, like almost 3x in a couple of months with, a nice turn on it. It was an older label. So it probably got less than, that thing was like 14, 15, 16, I think at some point in time. And I sold it after it had already crested. Yeah. So we've seen kind of an appreciation of Pokemon. Everybody jump on it. We've seen the Charizard continue to set records every time it comes up for sale. But let's just talk about the 96 stuff that you focus on, the 99 Wizard of the Coast first edition set. We've seen it go up. And we've seen it kind of take a little step back. Without me ruining it or telling you what I think, what are your thoughts on that set and other cards like it? You talk about like legit vintage Pokemon, and then we can get into some of the more modern stuff.
Okay. I think that, not even so much think, I know the 10s have not gone down. So the hard grades, the good grades, the PSA 10 Charizard first edition continues to set records. We know that even when the height where it was, 2-3 months ago, it still keeps climbing. So I think you have to buy right. I think you have to buy the right pieces in the good grade of the piece. So the PSA 10 stuff is solid. I don't see any drop in that. Obviously, you'll see some drop maybe in Red Cheeks Pikachu, like, Charmander, stuff like that, Blastoise, that stuff has dropped down. But your hollow stuff is just so much harder to grade back then. So I think the 10 stays safe. I think the best play right now, I was talking to a buddy about it the other day, is so the buyer's market's coming. All right. The buyer's market in Pokemon's coming. It's very, very soon. I've given it about another 2 weeks before I start buying some Shadowless PSA 9s, maybe some 10s, but definitely Shadowless PSA 9s. I think they've dropped down enough and they're rare enough for the price point to drop down to start thinking about investing into those. Because there's still going to be a big push this year with Pokemon, with McDonald's introducing the kids' meals and doing other things. So there's going to be a whole nother revamp. And all this did was this hype. It brought you and me and people that have kids to say, hey, listen, I'm in the sports cars. I'm doing this. Here's Pokemon. I enjoy it. It makes me money, and they love it. So you've got new collectors coming around the pipeline. You could still go to Walmart and Target and buy Pokemon, albeit it won't be like maybe Champions Path when that was selling out heavy, or Hidden Fates, but you can still go buy it. That's what keeps our hobby going, are the kids that are buying this product. And you can't go buy basketball or football at Target or Walmart. You have grown men who's been sitting there for 15 hours a day doing nothing but waiting for it. So what am I supposed to tell my kid? Hey, listen, I can't buy you football or basketball today, but I can buy you this Pokemon. And it intrigues them. They like it. So I think it's very important to understand that there's an element there that will continue to keep Pokemon relevant for a very long time ago. And it never wasn't relevant. You just didn't have everyone collecting in it. You didn't have all the investors in it. But now you do. And I don't think it's going anywhere. I think it'll continue to be hot. I think sets are important. I think Neo Genesis is a really good set to be getting into. Really Low Pops is the first edition. So you still have that first edition of lore. And there's also a non-first edition, which is rarer than their first edition print. I think they made more first edition print of Neo Genesis that they didn't make. So if you look at pop reports in PSA, it's the really hard grades, like 9 sell really well, 10 sell really well. Those will all keep going up. They have gone up. Like, so when the Pokemon had its dip, we're only referring to 99 Wizard of the Coast original. Like, that's what dipped. Nothing else dipped besides the influx of Champions Path, which that was a new product. That's what happens. New product comes out, high pricing, month goes by, drops down, give it 6 months, it'll go back up. It's the same pattern. But looking at Neo Genesis and some of these other sets, they've continued to have healthy growth, good growth, because Pokemon collectors were turned off by, oh my gosh, all this stuff's so crazy now, I can't fit some pieces into my collection. Let me go into what other pieces I can. So they've been touching Neo Genesis and Legendary and some other things.
EX series, those guys. I mean, so I'll add some color to it, because I don't know if you know this or not, or you paid enough attention to it. My answer to that, it's similar to yours. I think that even that first edition set starts to climb back up, just like you were talking about how it's a buyer's market. The buyer's market is already right now, and here's why. I believe there's only about, going into this fall, I think there were 11 or 12 complete sets of the Wizard of the Coast 1999 first edition English set. PWCC sold 2 complete sets in their last 2 monthly auctions. 2 of those 12 set owners decided that they were going to break up their sets and sell them in the PWCC auctions. So that is what you call a supply glut. That's going to kill short-term pricing, because here are these cards that literally do not come for sale ever. The Zard almost is immune to it because it set a record each time anyway. It continues to go up. But cards like even that next level, like Blastoise, which originally you couldn't get 1 or 2 of those for sale, and started to go up, and set a record price and was selling for $50,000-$60,000. Once 5 of them come for sale, or 4 of them come for sale in the same quarter, you're not going to have that continued growth like this. Same thing happened with your Pikachu, Red Cheeks, and you name it. Even some of the hollows. I saw Magneton, which I overpaid for myself for part of my set, sell in the 23 range, and I think the last one sold for like 8. right? So whoever bought it for 8, good job on you, because it may never be sold for 8 again, because there's like 60 of those things. You know what I mean? Like there's none of them. So the next time it comes up for sale might be 6 months from now, and if there's 2 people looking for it, it's back up to 20. So I think you're 100% right. I think what you're being smart about is you're also looking at the stuff that was beaten down that still has a low pop. That's why you're 100% right. That shadowless 9s of the big names, I think you're going to see those have been beaten down probably unfairly, because the rest of the market kind of, had that inundation and things kind of follow. But those are going to be really quick to snap back up. I think you're hitting the nail right on the head there.
Yeah, I agree.
You know what?
Go ahead.
As a listener, first of all, I'm so lucky. Like these 2 guys right here, Brandon and Cage, are probably my 2 biggest influences in 2020. Maybe Rick is another one. And I've learned so much from you guys. So I appreciate it. I'm very lucky to just be here and kind of fly on the wall. But Brandon, how did you, Bronamath, how did you, like here you have expertise in comics, TCG, Pokemon, baseball, football, NBA. But a lot of the people entering the hobby, it's like their first go round. They don't have the expertise there. Where did you start? How did you get to this point of expertise?
Being obsessed with the chase in the hunt. I think that has always been my DNA, is to always try to find and chase the hunt. So if it's something that I have my eye on, I'm going to obsess over it. Maybe it's good or bad mix. But I'm going to obsess over it. I'm going to learn as much as I can about it. I'm going to look at the data, the metrics, and look at everything and come to my conclusion. Okay, well, I think I'm going to buy this. And then I make my educated purchases and I'll go that way. I was buying shoes for a long time, as we talked about the last episode. I haven't really touched much now. I still buy for the joy of some pieces here and there, some shoes to wear, but then I went to Dragon Ball Z, action figures, graded. I was buying graded San Diego Comic-Con figures. Those have all gone up like 4 or 5x. I sold all of those except for like 3 pieces that I keep in my office as display pieces. And then I jumped into Dragon Ball cards. And then from there, it just was a trickle effect. Oh man, I completed everything I wanted to complete in Dragon Ball. Okay, let me go to Pokemon. Okay, I complete everything I want to go to Pokemon. Okay, now, oh wow, football, basketball, baseball, that's fun because it's always revolving. There's always a new chase. There's always something new to complete or looking forward to. So for me, you have some people that are singularly focused on baseball, because baseball is just about year round. It hasn't been because of COVID, but you have spring training, you have all these prospects. So a lot of people just focus strictly on baseball because it has that year round aspect. I don't have any out of season. Like I'm in on everything. So I'm always having fun with it. And yeah, it's a lot of time to stay up on top of everything, but it's also fun. To me, it's fun. And, I truly love trying to decide what may be that next thing and start diving in on it pretty heavy.
What was your bread and butter? Was it sneakers that were your bread and butter, or is it the strategies and concepts that you learned from flipping sneakers that is kind of your bread and butter and you could apply it? It's irrelevant, the sport or the game. You have these set principles, as Ray Dalio calls them, that you apply wherever you go. Or do you have a bread and butter sport that you kind of go back to?
So for me, for the sneakers, I resell cards far more than I ever did sneakers. Sneakers was for the passion and the love of the hobby. I think for me, my bread and butter is passion. And what I mean by that is that I go into each thing with passion in the hobby and I don't take it for granted. I don't come in like some of these new guys that are strictly investors and just stomp all over it. I take appreciation into the hobby. I dive in. I try to be on the ground floor with everybody. So I'm talking to hobbyists that have been in the hobby for 20 years and I can have a good conversation with them, not looking like, oh, I'm just an investor. I'm just some type of shark that comes through. That's not my entire reason for being here. My reason for being here is because I do have a passion for the hobby as a whole. It's just that my passion is chasing and finding those things, but yet still treating the hobby with dignity that I think it deserves, because people make their livelihood is put on the line for this. Local card shop owners that I know are some of the best people you'll ever meet. They treat you with respect, and you treat the hobby back with respect. I'm a big component of that. And, I try to take that as my bread and butter in anything that I do, is not to trash it, just to treat it the right way.
Let's have a hypothetical. Let's say I know someone, he has a Pokemon collection, okay? 2 cards away from a complete set. But he's seen a run up in those cards, and now he's thinking, do I finish that set? I need one Lonzo Ball Pokemon, And then I need a big man. I need one LeBron.
Lonzo Hitmonchan. Lonzo Hitmonchan.
That Lonzo is probably a lot easier to get than that last piece in that Pokemon.
And the LeBron,
set.
yeah. Well, he has the LeBron in PSA 9.
He does.
I think it depends on how satisfied you'll be once you complete it. And I say that because once you complete the set,
never satisfied. Satisfaction is not what this
irrelevant. Say it's someone who can never be satisfied.
Yes, but
2 liter, he'll satisfy. But
is the satisfaction a snip of a finger? So as soon as you've completed it, I'm done with it. Is that where you're at? Because if that's the goal, then I don't think it's to the point where you should complete the set, because I think you know what you're going to do ultimately once you get those last 2 pieces, is that you're going to sell them all off because you already obtained that goal. That's where I would be at. I'd probably sell if the money was right. And my multiplier I look at for big cards is 3 to 4x. And once I hit 3 to 4x, then I move on.
All right.
I'm not selling them right now because it's just not the right time.
No, I agree with you. Yeah. And listen, I knew we were talking about you. I wouldn't sell them either at this time.
But I mean, the last couple of pieces I was buying at like peak, so that kind of cuts into some of that 3 or 4x of the overall. So
I would have sold it when it was hot.
Yeah. Well, I would say that about almost everything. Looking back,
yeah.
Right? I mean, it's an
true.
Easy thing.
Well, listen, I didn't want to sell my first edition trio. I was like, man, this is such a hard set to get. They're really good grades, but I was like, man, I paid $11,000 for my Charizard first edition BGS 9 that I got because of the first podcast. Thank you again. I sold that for $40,000 cash.
Amazing.
Within a month and a half. So I'm, and I tell my buddies this because they're all like, oh, I'm going to play long-term on so-and-so, and I'll play long-term on this. I'm like, if I walked up to you and I told you, you're going to give me $100,000 and I'm going to give you back $400,000 in 2 months, you're going to tell me no?
Never.
I mean, where else in the stock market are you going to be able to get that besides Bitcoin right now? You're not going to get that anywhere. So I think that you have to be smart and strategic with it. And it really goes back to depending on what your overall goal is in the hobby. Is it just to completely collect? Then absolutely go ahead and do your thing. But I think if you're talking about a 3-4x on $100,000 investment, or 5,000, 2,000, for me, anything under $1,000, I wouldn't call low end, but I would maybe hold a little bit longer. But when we're talking about $1,000 plus and we're looking at 3, 4x, 5x territory, then that's when I'm pulling the eject hatch and moving on to something else.
Well, the fun part about it though is this, and this is, I guess, part 2, and this is for everybody out there, right? Because it doesn't matter if we're talking about Pokemon or we're talking about your Tyler Hero cards, or we're talking about your Zions or whatever, or Trae Young. A lot of people are Trae Young, right? So you're 100% right. And that statement has made a lot of people a lot of money over the last 2 years when the hobby was going great, right? Because time to pull the hatch, right? If you're in on Trae Young at $500 for a silver and it's almost $4,000 right now, take your money and go, right? Because then you're going to move it on to the next thing. That's what you said.
Yep.
Don't you think it's getting a little harder to find that next thing?
Yeah, you know what? Maybe for the typical, I'm staying singly focused in only, basketball and football. Yeah. But there's other things out there, and I firmly believe that's why we're seeing such an uptick in hockey pricing, in baseball pricing, in comic books, and some other collectibles. I think people are starting to diversify. I mean, listen, sometimes I look in the hobby, I'm like, is everyone millionaires out here? Because I see some of these guys' collections, I'm like, holy cow, this is nuts. And everyone's buying.
Soon enough, we all will be. Soon enough.
Yeah, right.
I was going to keep going. Let's go.
Yeah, seriously.
This guy Shine I've been following, just like I followed him like a week ago. His collection's insane. He looks like he's like 25 years old living in Puerto Rico.
Yeah, his collection's absolutely stunning. I mean, he has some of the rarest and nicest pieces that you'll ever see. I think his favorite photo on his page of mine is having the Wander Franco Superfractor Bowman first auto and having Wander Franco hold it. I think that is such an epic photo. It's a 9.5. And trust me, he's got a lot of cool pieces, but I think that's cool. Like imagine Jordan holding, PSA 10 rookie card of himself. I think that's to me it's so cool.
Is he in the picture with Wander Franco, or just that?
No. Wander's out in the field just holding the card, like
cool.
spring training.
Wow, that's pretty awesome.
Yeah, he's gonna be on fire this year.
You think so?
Wander, yeah, absolutely.
So before the election, one of the opportunities, I agree, sometimes it's hard to find profits in NBA and NFL. I mean, people come in and extract profit, right? That's really what some people do. Bitcoin and crypto, to me, it's always, for me, it feels like such a seamless transition for people who already deal with PayPal, electronic money, and cards.
I would love to talk about this topic.
There's a ton of resistance there, right? It's like people either don't understand Bitcoin and crypto, or they do. I feel like actually it's more like they don't want to understand it. It's actually quite simple. What do you and you have a community as well on Instagram. What are you guys seeing, and what's the conversations like about crypto and Bitcoin?
So I think, obviously the uncertainty of a lot of global currency in different countries is a concern. I think that's why we're seeing a little bit of a spike. We just keep printing or making money. So that's a little bit of a concern. But I think when it comes to the hobby, having all that money of mine, I know you guys kind of know the story, but I'll tell it. I made that a transaction, a sale in goods and services on PayPal. It was part cash, part PayPal, and half of the PayPal was $40,000. Well, it was goods and services. It was done legit in the right way. And as soon as the transaction was made, my funds were locked up. I'm like, why would this be? It was goods and services. It was a legit deal. And I contact PayPal, and PayPal tells me, well, we're holding your money for 180 days because the buyer has 180 days to make a claim and return the items. I'm like, that's insane. You guys are going to hold $40,000 of mine for 180 days, interest-free, because you feel like it? I go, that's absolutely asinine. It's my money. It's my money. I want it now. And here I am telling them that. I'm like, well, it's part of the terms agreement, and this is what it is. Eat crow. I was like, there's nothing I could have done. I have reached out to a couple of my buddies who are attorneys, some other people. There's really nothing, and it would have been a waste of my time. So for me, I just refunded back the money, and then I met back up with the person, got cash, the remaining in cash. But I thought to myself, I was like, man, that was really just a headache to deal with. What else could we do besides cash? I mean, Venmo.
No, you just screwed everybody, by the way, because now PayPal looks at it and says how smart they were to not listen to you and cave for you being mean and tell them to get my money back. They look at it and see you refunded the guy, so they were smart to hold the money. Yeah, it's amazing. I love it. Go ahead, continue.
PayPal's getting into crypto because they know they're screwed. Intermediaries add no value.
Correct.
We're under the illusion, and sorry, Bronamath, you'll continue here. We're under the illusion that these banks and intermediaries, really they're called financial intermediaries, add value. And they have in the past, perhaps, but in today's world, we don't need to do transactions.
Exactly.
And crypto helps. It's really quite simple, actually.
Yes, exactly. And that's where I was segueing into, is that among this debacle that I was dealing with, I thought to myself, man, like, how is there not a better way to do this? Venmo, you're maxed out at like, I don't know, is it $4,000 a week in a 7-day rolling period? Cash App is the same thing. So here I am after PayPal's done, and I'm like maxing out Venmo and maxing out Cash App and doing it with my wife's name. And I'm like, oh my God, like this seems like it's so much work. What is another way to do it? And it's clearly crypto. It is so simple and glaring in your face to do your transactions that way. It blows my mind that more people aren't doing it. It really does. It blows my mind that people aren't doing it that way.
Cage, you mind just, engage debate? I think this will be helpful for the audience. We're not just doing this for fun. What do you think about it? Like, how do you view this?
So I don't want to spend too much time on crypto, but we could start a crypto podcast, but I'll tell you, because obviously people do like it, but it is a card podcast, but I'll tell you what my problem with it is.
It's an alternative investment podcast and sports.
No, it's not. So
we talk about Pokemon cards on here, Cage.
That's a card.
Yes. But you want to talk about the Bitcoin cards. You want to talk about like Panini's blockchain cards. We can talk about those all day long. And you want to talk about Bitcoin, it's fine. We can spend some time on it. We spend some time on anything. We spend time on my soda habits. So it's fine. But I don't want to get too crazy on it. I already spent more time than I wanted to. But here's my problem with Bitcoin. He's not even listening. It's that even the people who know all about it, even the people who know everything there is to know about Bitcoin, who might have traded it on like a Merrill Lynch trading desk, they cannot explain to me Bitcoin sufficiently enough where I understand it, where I am comfortable enough in its longevity, in its long-term prospects, and in understanding what is behind it. Right? I understand there's all these different altcoins, Dogecoin, Ethereum, Litecoin. I understand Bitcoin. I understand what the premise is behind it, but what you just said is confusing to me. So PayPal realizes they have to get in on Bitcoin because they're a middleman.
Yep.
And you don't need a middleman anymore because Bitcoin's going to get rid of them. Then why does PayPal get into Bitcoin?
So that they don't become extinct.
But you're telling me that Bitcoin gets the middleman out of the equation.
Right, but you need some way to convert US or fiat currency to Bitcoin. Like,
so
if you think of crypto,
so you still need a middleman.
Even
though you're telling me that
you don't need a middleman if you use your Trust wallet, you don't.
What's a Trust wallet?
It's just
Isn't that another middleman?
No, it's not. It's not a middleman. It's basically where your crypto can sit in. If you had a Trust wallet,
do you pay for that?
Wallet. No,
you don't pay for it. So whose Trust wallet? Is it another company that's just doing it for free right now?
It's basically like
Coinbase.
Yeah, you can transfer your
funds aren't those
from
all middlemen though?
Pardon me?
Aren't those all middlemen though?
But they're not holding my money hostage for 180 days.
Well, that's just different for right now. PayPal didn't hold your money for 180 days when they first started off also. And PayPal was a lot more user-friendly and a lot more free and a lot more great when they had to get user absorption. And now that they are the only game in town, they can hold your money for 180 days because they don't give a shit about Bronamath. Whereas all these, wallets and Coinbases basically give everything away the same way FanDuel and DraftKings gave away basically a whole year's worth of bets if you wanted just to get people to use it. So right now it sounds like a great way to do it. But to me, what I'm hearing is there's still a middleman.
No.
Yeah, but there's no restrictions to the middleman. So what I was trying to get to, because I know you're saying there's nothing to back it. I don't really give a shit if there's nothing to back it. All I know is that if you're buying a card for me for $1,000, I can sell it to you. You trade me $1,000 in coins. If I want to keep it in my wallet, I can as an investment, or I can just shoot it right in my bank account and get $1,000 immediately. So I don't understand why we have to think about what's the backing to it. If it's a deal to happen instantaneously right now, it's lightning right into my account. I don't have to worry about the restrictions because PayPal banned me. They kicked me off their platform.
Yeah, well, you deserved it. So here, Bitcoins, right? So you're going to pay me in coin. So I'm going to hear that, and I'm going to be, maybe my dad for a second. Is there a coin?
Yeah, you just
is there an actual coin?
No, of course not. It's all electronic. Just like you actually hold an Apple stock.
What is the electronic?
Do you hold an Apple stock in your hand?
No, but an Apple stock is a percentage, a share of a tangible asset, which is the share of a company called Apple. So if I buy one share of Apple, I am a part owner of a tangible asset, which is the Apple company. Now, a minor owner, but each share I can add up and continue to buy a piece of it, the same way that you'd buy a piece on the collectible app or rally of a tangible asset. So it's a little bit different.
But you're looking at crypto as an investment strategy. I'm looking at it as a vessel for trading between.
So that's where it goes, right? So that's fine. So if it's a vessel for trading from one to another, then why does it have an intrinsic value that has gone up 1,000 times? Because obviously you have to look at it as both a vessel and an investment. So you can't just look at it as one or the other, because obviously people are buying it because of its investment potential.
Choose to invest in it.
But why one coin over another? Why the absorption? It's so difficult. Why are there so many people who are anti it? Why the huge fluctuation in valuation? It's just, the thing that I see with it, guys, and it's great that it's going up now and everybody, is saying how great it is. But I remember when it was $20,000 previously and it went down to $6,000.
Yep.
Right. And maybe that's because the country was doing well, under its last president, and there was a lot more uncertainty, a lot less uncertainty about, the markets and the whole deal. You could argue that obviously, uncertainty in the market or negative in the market is probably good for Bitcoin. But what if these Georgia runoffs go the way they're going to go, right? And the Democrats get a 50-50 split in the Senate, and I'm being dead serious, Andrew. That's what's happening right now. So Democrats get a 50-50 split of the Senate. And listen for a second, dude. Just listen for a second, dude, right? So,
right. I don't listen, Cage.
So listen for a second. No, but let me finish my point, because I know we get into Bitcoin and it's just go full speed ahead. And I'm glad anybody who's in it makes money. But here's my concern. You asked me my concern. You want me to weigh in? I'll weigh in, and we'll talk about Bitcoin for way too long. When this 50-50 split, and it's going to happen, and the Democrats have control of all three branches of the government, right? I mean, it's going to have, I don't care what anybody says. The Supreme Court is what it is. They'll stack it, and soon it'll be a Democratic Supreme Court. And you have a Democratic president and a Democrat controlling both. Do you know last time that happened? You ever heard of like Dodd-Frank? You ever heard of regulations? You ever heard of financial regulation? You ever heard of all that stuff? What's going to wind up
at Morgan Stanley on Dodd-Frank, which was created in 2008. And that's the exact reason why I believe that financial intermediation changed, because the big thing that happened was Bill Clinton came in and he repealed the Glass-Steagall Act. And he allowed these commercial banks, which was like Wachovia, where you just deposited money, to blend with investment banks, which was
correct.
And they took your money and they started gambling with it the same way that we gamble on sports cards, except I have unlimited supply of funding.
So that was a Democratic government that allowed that to happen. So what I'm telling you is what my biggest concern about Bitcoin is less about
Democratic.
Oh God, you just keep going. So when this happens and you can actually get something to be done, what winds up happening, I think, is big banks, which are a fan of that side of the government, big banks are going to look for a bailout, because I think they're afraid of Bitcoin. And I think Bitcoin is the enemy of traditional banks. I think I'm saying what you're trying to say. Yeah, I'm just not flailing my arms and being a lunatic about it. And I think that Bitcoin is one of the biggest, let's call it, potential problems for banking financial institutions the way that they've been for the last 50 years. And I think what I'm most afraid of as far as investing in Bitcoin now, especially at the high that it's at, is that with the government going the way that it's going to go, I think that there are going to be some additional protections built in for that bank lobby, where if Bitcoin is just a Bitcoin, there's no Bitcoin lobby. But Morgan Stanley and all of these big bank companies that are fearful of Bitcoin and what it would mean to them, they're going to lobby the hell out of these government officials. And I think you're going to see a lot more regulations. I think you're going to see a lot more problems for companies who are going to be doing Bitcoin. I think you're going to see Bitcoin go down. That's me. You asked for me to weigh in.
So we're diving in heavy on crypto, which I don't think we should have. But
no shit. But we can always edit it out. It's not. I'm just kidding. No, man. This is Andrew's baby.
As the host and founder of this show, I do dive into it, and I also do think that I have a right to speak my mind. And I also am an incredible listener, actually, and all of my girlfriends have told me that across the board. So
I do want to note, though,
I want to bring both of those women onto the show now and talk to them both.
I do want to comment before we go on to the next thing, is that I do see the global currency aspect of crypto being very attractive.
Say that one more time.
I agree. No, I agree with that, actually. I mean, the fact that
I see the global currency aspect of crypto, because one Bitcoin is one Bitcoin, whether it's here in the Philippines or China, it's one Bitcoin. I see that being attractive long term.
Yeah, I agree with that.
Minutes ago, Cage hasn't traveled outside of the U.S., but I feel like you have, right, Bronamath?
Not much, but a little bit.
But when you go, you have to convert your funds, right? There's little shacks, and you give them your U.S. dollars,
and then you're worried you're getting ripped off. Yeah.
Give you pesos. But if you think about it, what is global? There's only one global thing in the world right now. It's the internet. Internet is its own global, if you want to call it, entity.
Golds.
But
don't take away from his point. We're tunnel vision here, Bronamath.
We're not.
Stop it.
It's no different than I go to Mexico and I convert my U.S. dollars to pesos. I want to spend money on the internet and I convert my U.S. dollars to an internet currency. That's really all it is. It's so simple. And then we add layers of complexity on top, which is absolutely appropriate. And regulation, things like that, those are absolutely appropriate conversations to have. But at its simplest, all you do through Coinbase is it's no different when you pull up to Cancun Airport and you exchange your U.S. dollars for pesos. You go to Coinbase, you exchange your U.S. dollars for a cryptocurrency. That's it. That's all you do.
Right. The only difference, of course, is that the peso is, and obviously different governments have different valuations, right? So let's just say that there are some unstable governments out there, All right, well, I don't know.
Tons of them.
Venezuela. I mean, who knows? Nations that haven't been around that long, right? And they have coins. And right now, you can go and exchange. Let's just call it country A, right? It's a newer country. You can go exchange your dollars for country A's dollar, right? For country A's currency, right? But that country is not. It hasn't been around that long, and their government. Who knows what their government is, how stable their government is, and whether or not that money's going to have value over a long period of time. But what you do have there is you have some sort of a government behind it. Your Mexican peso, you have a Mexican government that is issuing that money. That's obviously they can print more of it, and you never know what's going to happen there. But at least it's a government behind that money. Is there a nation of Bitcoin that I don't know about? Is it located somewhere where Mesopotamia was?
It's the buyer's trust into the coin because you don't have to worry about the corrupt government.
Right, but you don't have to do that for any other thing. That's why Andrew's comparison of trading dollars for pesos is misinformed. Because there is no backing. There's no full faith and trust of the American government there. There is no full faith and trust of the government of Bitcoin. It's the buyer's trust. It's what you have to believe in, which is fine. Obviously, it's got some absorption. It's got $30,000 in value right now for a coin. So obviously, enough people are buying into it more so than there were. And it's great. I'm sure it's going to be spectacular. To me, maybe I'm an old man. Maybe I just don't get it. But to me, there's a little too much risk there.
So, Tom Brady, do you think that he's going to bring a Super Bowl to Tampa Bay? You're a Tampa Bay guy, Bronamath. You excited?
No. I don't think it this year. No.
Do you think they beat the Washington football team? Chase Young is maybe my favorite player in the league this season.
I think they beat them. I think they have trouble. Is Evans declared out yet? Have they ruled him out?
Oh, I could Google it.
I don't think so, but he might be out. I don't think they've declared it yet.
Yeah. That hyperextension looks pretty bad.
I'll say this, like Luka Nation, when you hop onto these episodes and you listen, we bring a different episode every day. I personally think this is going to be one of our more popular episodes because, Gage, it doesn't always have to be daily plays. I think having conversations on record like this where we don't always agree, I love it. One of my favorite quotes is pressure causes diamonds. I think it's good. I think a little friction is okay.
It's not friction. I have no friction. There's no friction. I just feel like an idiot. People are not tuning in to listen to me talk about Bitcoin. You want to talk about Bitcoin, give me a couple weeks to research it, and I'll actually tell you what I really think about Bitcoin. Now I'm just doing it from a perspective of it's new, I don't know it, and obviously it's not something that I personally am invested in, so I can't really comment on it. So to me, it's not that there's friction. It's you want to have a Bitcoin segment, tell me about it ahead of time, and I'll do research on Bitcoin, and then I can actually provide some value for the audience instead of just me being the crotchety old man who's not buying Bitcoin.
I think the issue, though, and its relevancy to the hobby is that if PayPal is going to continue to lock down accounts, which it has been at a very high level, I know an account that does a lot of volume in group subs has $220,000 locked up for 180 days. So if you're going to continue to do that to accounts and you've taken away my ability to sell the right way, goods and services on your platform, what is the other outlet? Of course, you can do eBay, which I do a lot of, but taking PayPal completely away from me, it limits my ability to sell things the right way with invoices and goods.
Do you know
and
why the 180 day is? You know why that's there?
They told me it was because it was a return policy.
It's federal regulation, right? Yeah. So it's the same thing with your credit card. So if you buy through eBay on a credit card and not through PayPal, someone can make a return up to 180 days.
I know.
The federal regulation, right? So the only difference right now between blockchain, crypto, you name it, than that is that nobody in government has regulated that. Nobody has said, all right, well, when you do a blockchain transaction through Coinbase or PayPal, you have 180 days to reverse it.
Yeah, but you went back into crypto. I'm not talking crypto. I'm talking about taking my ability as an American citizen to sell via your platform unrightfully. Now, where do I go beyond there besides eBay to make a $15,000 sell of a card? Where do I go?
Yeah, nowhere. But that's why eBay, the PayPal, I mean, there's a lot of dangerous stuff going on. This is a lot of the return crap, you name it. I mean, I get it. But so I found this out also because, somebody made a return on one of my items after 30 days. And, I had a whole big to do with it. And they were like, yeah, they have 180 days. That's federal law. 180 days to make a claim with that financial institution, you name it, which is
trust
crazy.
me. Trust me, I run a business that's a service good industry, and I understand that very well. However, looking at it from a seller standpoint,
It sucks.
It's absolutely asinine. I run a business, and if they were, I have complaints that come in that people try to get refunds. It holds the money until the bank looks into the transaction, then releases the funds. I have all my everything signed, all my documents taken care of, legally within my right. Now, when I'm selling something as goods and services, you've got the item that you received. Why are you holding, and you already had it, you haven't made a complaint. Why are you able to hold the money for 180 days? I understand it's regulation, but you're talking about people's livelihoods with PayPal. That's how they run some of their businesses. And it's happening at a very high rate right now that I think the hobby needs to have a bigger discussion as a whole about it.
I'm with you.
Don't see it.
I understand. Well, listen, so and you're 100% right. And it's a huge shift in the hobby because I'm an eBay guy since 1996. I've done thousands of eBay transactions. You know how many eBay transactions I've done as a seller? How many sales I had on eBay since July 1st? One.
Wow.
One sale. And do you know how many returns I had?
One. But you're setting to PWCC, no?
Yes, I'll do through consigners, yeah. The wharf.
But they have a lot bigger or a greater policy for their buyers to return than eBay even gives.
Yep. Yeah, because but what I found out was it doesn't even matter. Because even after 30 days, if you bought through a credit card or PayPal, as you found out, they can still make a claim. Yeah. So it really doesn't even matter what the return policy is on eBay.
But as a hobby gets bigger and there's more people that have buyer's remorse, and we're seeing it, right? I think everyone in every conversation you have about the hobbies are having these issues. There has to be somewhere that can help the hobby better. So if I'm selling you a PSA 10 first edition Charizard at the peak of its peak, and then the next month it drops down, how are you able to return that? You got what I sent to you. It's a PSA 10.
I'm with you. It is, by the way, if you watch, that was my biggest fear of the hobby. I called it eBay, but it's exactly what you're talking about. I mean, eBay is just the platform where most of the business gets done. But yeah, that's my biggest fear for the hobby, especially as things get as expensive as they're getting. You know, the buyer's remorse, that whole deal, that's a huge issue because how can you ever really sell anything?
You have to be scared, right? I mean, if I sell the $250,000 Charizard, hey, I got 250 grand. I've spent most of it, and all of a sudden, I'm going to take 250 grand out of your account again because they made a claim that there was a scratch on a PSA 10 case.
Yep. Yeah, which is exactly the return that was made on my one sale.
Oh, that's what they do. Yeah, there's a scratch on the case. Well, that's ridiculous. But I heard that eBay's making a policy now that you cannot return graded cards.
That would be great. That would be fantastic.
That is what I've heard. That'd be amazing.
It's fun stuff. You gotta love it.
I feel like we had
what are we gonna talk about now?
I feel like we had a bull in a China shop conversation about crypto. Now
are we gonna talk about like space travel now? I mean, what do you want me to talk about now?
I'll talk about some TCG plays if you want.
No, I want to know what Andrew wants to talk about. He's the owner of the show, the founder of the show. I want to hear if we want to talk about like propulsion engines now. I mean, what do you want to talk about, man? Do you want to talk about like nuclear fusion? So I can talk about that.
My vision when I started this show, and you guys know, I'm gonna beat this into your guys' heads. And people ask me like, why don't I show off, the house I live in right now or my collection or anything? Because my interest in life is not to show you what I have. It's to share my experiences of what I've learned over the years so that you can use that insight and education to possibly.
Well, tell them how bad herpes is then and how much of a pain in the ass it was when you got it and how they can avoid it. Please, because that's about as relevant to the card podcast. Tell them about your life. Tell them about the herpes. Tell them about the girl who gave it. No, I'm just playing. So here's what's funny. My deal. I think it's actually relevant. No, you can't talk. I think it's actually relevant because Bronamath, I'm glad you're on here. Because I got to say, if Bitcoin, crypto, if that kind of stuff is the fix to the problem we're seeing, then you're right. It is hobby relevant. It is something that allows us to grow the hobby and allow. I mean, look, we haven't released it yet, but we had on Ryan, Card Collector 2, right, Andrew? We had him on. He was talking about cards that he was selling last year for $3,000, $4,000, $5,000. Patrick Mahomes cards. They're now like six-figure cards, right? How does anybody ever sell one of those cards? The world is small now. the world is tiny. You're not going to have as many in-person transactions. And if you want to sell that $100,000 Patrick Mahomes card right now before the playoffs to capitalize on your money, maybe Bitcoin, maybe a blockchain transaction is the way of the future. Maybe that's the way to get it done because there isn't going to be a return. And if he happens to get knocked out of the playoffs next month and that card goes from 100,000 to 60,000, all sides have made their bet. There's no PayPal 180-day bullshit.
That's the other side to that coin.
Yeah. See that? You see what he did there? He made another side of the coin joke. Did you see that,
Yep.
Andrew? Yeah, don't let that one. That was well done.
Yeah, I spent all day thinking about that
one. You gotta love it. You gotta love it. Okay, man, go for it.
I can't wait for the DMs, the emails we get 3, 4, 6, 12 months from now, where people said the education, the conversation from this episode helped me better understand crypto, help me better understand Bitcoin, help me better understand TCG.
Oh, while we were talking, I just went on the Panini site and bought a whole bunch of blockchain cards.
What do you guys think of the Panini Eminence release? I don't know if you guys saw the first off the line is $34,000 for an Eminence.
So I was considering it at 20. And it never got close to that.
I mean, it's a beautiful design, right? Like I like it. I think they signed with a Sharpie. Like
you get a guarantee 1 of 1 of the 3 or 4 big rookies from this set. I think from this rookie class, guaranteed 1 of them. I think is what it was.
2019, right?
Yeah. So I think it was Zion, Morant, Rui, 1 or 2 other rookies that you were guaranteed to get a 1 of 1 of. I think it was that Logo Man silver deal.
With Eminence getting more and more popular, this is a cage for you. It's a question for you, Bronamath, and you, Cage. You know, Ryan came on, and he's a big proponent of buying and holding wax, right? Kind of as a way to invest in a draft class. Eminence is getting more popular. Is that maybe a box of wax that you buy and hold? Is this maybe $150,000 box in a year from now?
That I can't answer you. Like, I have to see what the product looks like. I mean, what are the odds in the hits? I mean, how much is this thing really loaded? If it's really loaded, then maybe.
I say yes for 2 reasons. Number one, there will always be one of those 1-on-1s, whether it's Ja or Zion, that doesn't appear. And not necessarily because it's still in wax. It could be pulled by somebody who doesn't make a big deal out of it. And that will lead to the, hey, remember that Zion 1-on-1 wasn't pulled. It's still in one of those sealed boxes. So that leads to increase in the sealed wax. But also with this product being what it is, it's definitely one that finds its way into one of those mutual funds that somebody creates, a sealed wax mutual fund. You know what I mean? Where they got a case of Flawless, and they got a case of this, and they put some Transcendent into it, and some 2012 and 2013 Prism basketball cases, you name it. So yeah, I do think it's something that is probably worth a hold. Although at $34,000, not many people buying into it. I don't think.
I think Shine's gonna have a few of them and probably rip them open. I'd bet. I'd be willing to bet that.
I bet you he has Bitcoin too.
I'm sure he does. Probably a lot of it.
Makes me the idiot.
Probably enough to buy your missing pieces to your set.
Yeah, I'm sure. I'm sure. I am sure. I don't know if listen, we'll see. We'll see about that set. Every day I wake up, I'm on a different side of that coin for whether I should complete the set or not.
You did there?
Yeah.
I told you I bought a Topps paper card, but Cage and I have been having this discussion, and I think this is fun. I like bringing it up. I like the debate. Topps Chrome when it comes to baseball or Topps paper? What do you think?
So for a long time, I thought that Topps paper was more on Topps Chrome because they're harder to gem. But then once you look into the pop reports, that's not the case. So based on that, paper base over base Chrome, and then I like the color more on the Chrome though. So the parallels, I like more of the parallels of the Chrome versus the parallels on the paper.
Does it surprise you that the Tatis Topps Chrome Refractor PSA 10 is a $550 card, whereas the gold, which is out of 219 in the paper version, is a $1,500, $1,600 card?
I'd be curious to see the pop control on that. I'd also want to note, though, that you're talking about a refractor that's not numbered versus a gold that is numbered. So at least you do know how many of those are made, how many refractors are made. I don't know. I mean, it's like a base unlimited Pokemon card. I don't know how many they made of them. It looks great. But I think, people like serial numbered cards, and I'd be curious to see what the pop is on those. And you have to look at PSA and BGS. People are like, oh, what's the pop on this? Like, you have to look at both. And combine them.
It's true. 100% true.
I made a BGS post maybe a few months ago that I thought was probably my favorite post of all time. I listed like 3 factors as to why BGS 9.5s are going to be valued at less than PSA 9s in the future. Never going to happen.
You know what, man? I get a lot of flack for being a BGS guy. I like BGS. I think they grade much harder. In my experience cracking and grading cards, a true gem 9.5 typically crosses to a PSA 10. A true gem plus is a PSA. Absolutely. I mean, look at the pops. Look at the percentages of BGS 10s in the same card versus PSA 10 in the same card. It's so different. And then look at the 9.5s. Min gems are not going to be a PSA 10, but a true gem plus most likely is going to be a PSA 10.
I'm 0 for 2.
Would you rather have a min gem BGS 9.5 or a PSA 9?
Depends on the card.
LeBron Refractor Black, 2004. I was looking at these two.
PSA 9. And I'll tell you why. Because there's going to be a buyer on the other side thinking they can crack it and gem it again or 9.5 it with BGS.
Do you dabble in Kobe rookies at all?
I did. I had a Topps Gold Finest and a couple other pieces, but I sold off my Kobe's. I actually don't have them. I should have probably waited on them, but I was already in so good on them. So again, I'm out that 4X, 5X on that one. I think I was, so it was a no-brainer for me to sell it. But yeah, his stuff.
The HEIR one, right? The gold where he's kind of like floating.
Yes.
He's in heaven. I love that card. I remember you picked that up last year.
Yeah, I got that card raw on a trade. And then I graded it, and it was an 8.5, which they're really hard cards to grade in general. And then sold it, made some good money on it. So I don't look back. That's one of the things in the hobby is you can't look back. When you sell something, you just have to keep moving and reinvesting. I could sit here and talk about how much money I could have made on this or made on that. But, I sold it and made the money then. I could have held on to it and it could have been nothing. So, you just can't look back on your sales.
I'm still learning this. I have to learn this. Don't look back. If I don't look back, man. I have nowhere to look.
You have nowhere to look because you don't sell anything.
I sell a lot of stuff. What
one eBay sell?
Oh, my one eBay sell was a Darius Slayton card after he had that huge week 1. It was a Darius Slayton silver PSA 10. And then, of course, he didn't have a week like that ever again.
I still have faith in Danny Dimes. I just want to throw that out there.
So, dude, I had 2 months ago, let's call it, I had 53 Devontae Graham PSA 10 silvers. Do you know how many I own as of today?
52.
Two.
Nice.
So
you made a ton of money. You're just being a complainer.
I'm a complainer. No, but you say I don't sell anything. I sell.
He is a big complainer.
I complain about everything. I got so much to complain about. So I'll ask you a couple quick questions. So
I have one more point to cover as well.
Yeah, please go ahead.
All right, fine. We'll start with mine. Grading and finding cards that are gradable has never been harder. Everyone knows about grading. Yep. How do you recommend, as someone you're really good at this, how do you recommend someone entering the hobby now to find gradable cards?
You buy it out the gate. I always buy everything release week. So when people are ripping wax, like this Prism that just came out for football, it's such an expensive entry point. So when they were ripping this wax, they were getting, a couple good hits of Burrows that I was looking for, Burrow bases. So I got to get my money back. I lost my ass on this box. And they're going straight to eBay and just selling it. They're leaving meat on the bone for people. And that's what I'm looking at. I'm able to go on eBay, make sure the card's centered. If If I see anything that's noticeable, that's issues, edges, corners, I won't buy it. But that's the best time to buy cards is release week, 100%. Because a lot of people don't give a shit. A lot of people just gamble. A lot of people are in breaks and this, that, and the other. They just want to gamble. They want to hit the big whale out of the product. They don't hit the big whale and they sell everything else. So release week is, for me, is optimal to be buying. Because then once you start, look at it. I'm not going to go on eBay right now, and I'm not going to buy a Tatis rookie raw. It's not going to happen. No one at this point in the game is selling a Tatis raw unless there's an issue. It's not happening. So release week for me is when I'm buying everything.
How do you find the right price point because the market hasn't set?
So it's funny you say that because I was buying Zion and John Morant last year out the gate. Purple Ices, Red Prisms, all these things. Look at them now. They've gone up drastically. And if the concern is, well, if I'm paying $500 for a card today, that card might be $300 in a month because the product's been out a little bit more and there's more stuff to buy. I don't care. I bought the card that will PSA 10 or BGS 10 or has probability of being a good grade, and I'm going to make my money back. Me buying the right condition card a month after release will be much harder than it would be the week of release.
I love it.
It's very good.
Little rapid fire.
Yeah, no. So PSA, BGS. I know you were a fan of both at different points of your career. You're a customer service guy, like Andrew here. He's all about the customer service.
Yes.
Tell me, who are you grading with? And does it depend on what type of card it is, how quick the turnaround is, and that kind of stuff?
There's multiple layers to it. I still think that baseball guys like Bowman, especially you're talking about not Bowman, like BGS. So you're talking about Bowman first autos. I still think it presents really well with the auto grade on there, the way it looks. I don't think that's ever going to die away. I do see the allure for me on quick grading because I send a 5-day out to BGS. It's back in my hands. First of all, I overnight it to BGS, and then I overnight it back from BGS to me. I don't trust expensive cards in the mail at all. And 5 days, so I'm having that card back in my hand within 7 business days on a 5-day with BGS. 5-day with PSA right now, I heard about 3 to 4 weeks. So then it becomes a matter of how quickly do I want to get this out? Now, you had touched on the point earlier. Well, why are you buying the week of release? Well, I'm buying the week of release because I'm going to grade it the second week after release and have it back in my hands within 2 weeks after release. And now I'm setting the graded card market for that card, and I'm making as much money on that card as possible. So it's going away from sports cards, but when Champions Path came out, Pokemon, and you got that promo card that came in the Elite Trainer box, that Charizard, I was sending those off to PSA in 5-day. I was like, what? Why am I sending that? It's a $20 card. Like, yes, but I also know how hard it's going to be to grade that card because they're in a promo box in a little plastic, cheesy little piece of paper. So I graded them, PSA 10s. I was selling them all day between $400 and $500 a card, PSA 10.
Yeah.
Around release, within 3 weeks of release. And now it's completely gone down.
And then supply came in, it's like $100 card now?
Correct. It's about $150, $200.
When you get those cards back and you're first to set the market, do you auction or do you best offer?
Depends. I like razzing a lot on, a couple different platforms on Instagram and some on Facebook that you can do as well. That's a great way not to have to worry about a return, right? And we talked about that earlier. You know what you got, and usually those guys are in so cheap. If it's a $400 card, it's 40 per, they got it. So they're not having buyer's remorse because they want it for $40. That's a good way to get some product that you're a little worried about. But a lot of stuff I just put up for buy it now or best offer, and I let it trickle in. I know where I'm at on it. So when people start offering below what I have my asking at, I know, okay, well, that's still, 3x my money. Boom. Let me go ahead and accept that. I'm not greedy. I'm here to keep the wheels spinning. The thing about auctions that worry me, I auction some stuff, but not everyone that's looking for that card may be looking for that card within that 7-day time frame that card's listed. So it worries me a little bit. I'd rather control my own money. If it's some stuff, if I need the money, then I'll auction it, but I don't really need it. I'll throw it up there, and when it happens, it happens.
One of the best pieces of advice my co-host gave me, and it would probably take me a full year to write down all the things I've learned working with you, Cage. So I feel very lucky to have you as a co-host. But
I'm still waiting to learn something from you, so we'll see. You all pay me back at some point in time. I'm just messing around.
You learned it earlier.
Hey, I'm young, man.
learned about my Bitcoin?
Well, auctions. He helped push me into auction because I was also really nervous. I couldn't, like, I'm a control freak really, and I can't control my own fate through auctions. But he said auctions are actually true value of the card on the market, and once you start auctioning, it's really exciting, and it actually net plays itself out.
Because some of them are going to sell for more. Some of them are going to sell for less. I mean, that's,
well, because they want to fight and bid back and forth. But when it comes to cards that you own the only pop of,
yeah, different.
You know, because now I can set that bar really high on there. Now it's the optics. Wow, that card is a $500 card. Now you've controlled the market out the gate on that card. There was a gold vinyl Burrow that sold PSA 10 last week for $19,800.
Mm-hmm. Was that yours?
No, God, no. I wish. If I would have saw it on eBay, I would have bought the gold vinyl. I was looking for the gold vinyl. I got that gold Hertz. Well, we have to see how he does next year. So I'm holding on to that one.
Who has a better career? Who's a better buy, Trevor Lawrence or Burrow?
I think it's all situational. I think we have to see. First of all, I'm not a massive Trevor Lawrence fan. I'll just throw that out there.
He's coming to Florida.
What do you say?
He's coming to Florida.
Yeah, I know. To an awful program. So, you know, I'd say the same thing to you if he was going to the Jets.
Yeah, but I think he's gonna be all right there. I like that kid Robinson, running back guy. I think if he goes and plays in Jacksonville, he turns it into like a 6-10 team to start off with, right? Which would be viewed as a huge win from where they are now. I think they're probably 500 or 9-7 a year after that. I think that team could be actually pretty good. Chenault, he's awesome.
Yeah, Chenault's good. Yeah, no, listen, I think Lawrence will be good. I do think though that Burrow could be really good. I mean, granted, he's a little bit older, but he looked really good.
He does.
He looked really poised. And I wasn't a Burrow fan going into the season. I just want to throw that out there. I was a Herbert fan all the way. And then all of a sudden Herbert got playing time. I'm like, well, there goes that. There, cat's out the bag on Herbert. Because I was going to buy heavy on him. I had planned on buying a lot of Prism stuff of his, but some doctor had to go and puncture someone's lung. So I never go.
Tyrod Taylor. It's amazing the stories that come out of football. It's amazing how that works. All right, so listen. I mean, you've dropped some fun on us. You think hockey still has legs? You think Pokemon still has legs? You think Dragon Ball Z still has legs? Any of those that you think pump the brakes on?
So I sold a lot of my Dragon Ball stuff recently because I was just in it so good. I mean, I just couldn't. I couldn't not do it. I was buying that stuff. Some card for $10, I was selling for $300. So I just couldn't anymore. I still think it has legs. The thing that worries me about Dragon Ball moving forward, though, is the playability of it. The new set coming out hasn't been great, but as soon as they do another signature card set, I think there's going to be a lot more interest into it. I've had a lot of people that are into Pokemon that continue to DM me and ask me to buy some of my Dragon Ball pieces. So it's not going anywhere. Dragon Ball is going to keep doing pretty well. Aoki is a big guy into Dragon Ball now, buying wax and ripping it and buying a lot of the high-end Dragon Ball pieces. Again, so it's low pop, right? Like, Awaken Power PSA 10, I think pop's only 250 copies. That's low. I think they're about $4,000 around there is how much I sold mine for. Again, another card that I paid $400 for that card. So, as that point, I made what I made. I'm not going to, be too greedy. So I think Dragon Ball has a lot of legs. What's funny is that I haven't bought any yet, but I'm intrigued by the new Digimon that's been coming out. I know it's crazy. I'm not a Digimon guy at all, but a lot of people are. And people are playing the card game again as a novelty that are in the TCG market. So it's interesting to see that. I mean, sealed wax, that stuff was like $60 at the middle or end of last year. And now they're about $280. So, that's a good direction. Yu-Gi-Oh has been doing pretty well. I'm not a Yu-Gi-Oh guy either, but it's been doing pretty well. For me, Dragon Ball is I'll continue to buy the secret rares from each product, grade them, sell them. Because they're hard hits. And then Pokemon, older Pokemon, even newer Pokemon, as you saw with the secret rare Charizard and some other Charizards been doing really well. But for me, if you've noticed, BGS 10 in TCG is now taken off.
Yeah.
So I send a lot of my TCG to Beckett, because BGS 10, there was a massive gap. It wasn't like that last year. Beginning of last year, no one really put a premium on BGS 10 in Pokemon. There's a massive BGS 10 premium for Pokemon now.
Yeah, the big money on it. It's crazy. But I mean, I wouldn't even know what to send to Beckett. I'd have to research Beckett a little bit more. I mean, it's a different structure. It's all kinds of stuff. But, what I found funny with Pokemon is, I was opening cards with Ian, just random stuff and getting like secret rares. And but we'll see what winds up happening now. I'm still waiting for my June, my Q2 $7.50 Pokemon quarterly special of 28 cards to be returned. It's in research and ID. Wow. Sent it in June, right? So they tell you where we are.
You like PSA, man. That's what you get with them.
Yeah, that's what you get. But I mean, but before that, when I was sending in just, as part of bulk submissions, just send in, Pokemon cards, as part of like the group stuff that we were pulling, full art cards, you name it. They sell for so much money. I mean, I get PSA 10s on them. You talk about, cards that were just in packs. I don't even know what they are, like Venusaur and Snivy. And I'm like, couple $100. I put them. I just sell them. Like it's crazy how much. And this is just modern stuff.
The modern stuff does really well. So anyone that's out there, all in on vintage Pokemon, the modern stuff does really well. There's a lot of value to opening up modern Pokemon. There's no two ways about it. You're guaranteed almost to make money off of modern Pokemon ripping it and grading. Obviously, you have to have quantity. Like you can't just go ripping one pack. Like
right.
Maybe like 4 or 5 different product lines, like collection boxes and stuff like that, where you have 5, 8 packs of cards. You're gonna do really well on that stuff. I think it's not hit. Is it what is the new Fates coming out this year?
Isn't it like Shining Fates? Didn't they compare it? Like they combine it like Hidden Fates and Shining, whatever they just combine the stuff,
they
right?
Combined it. But they're gonna have some good hits in there. That's gonna be a really good modern Pokemon product to buy. There's gonna be a lot of good stuff to grade in that stuff, man. Because people collect the shinies, and it's gonna have a lot of them in there.
I think what you said, and it's not even something I thought about, so I'm glad you bring it up, right? It's I go to Target, I can buy Pokemon. There's no sports cards there at all, but I can buy Pokemon. I have something to open with my son, which is going to foster long-term collectability in the brand. So I like that because, I opened a couple of packs of Prism Football with him, and they were $110 a pack in my LCS. So you get a pack, and, my one rookie in it was a defensive back. And he's like, okay, well, can we get another one? And I'm like, no. It's not at $120.
Well, but then it goes back to buying around release date, right? If someone's paying $100 a pack of cards, I can go on eBay and buy Joe Burrow base Prisms for $80 all day long, and I'm saving $20. I'm getting the card that I'm looking for, and then on the case breaks that you can do on Instagram and Facebook with different people on YouTube. I know if I'm getting the Bengals, I should at least have X amount of Burrow bases. So now anything beyond that is going to start helping me into how much I paid into it, which you might get a silver, an auto, numbered parallel, yada, yada, yada. But I mean, those are smart plays. That's good investing versus, I'm going to buy a couple of boxes and just rip them and get slaughtered.
Yeah. Well, I seem to get slaughtered every time I open, but it is what it is. That's the gambler in me.
When little man rips open stuff, he gets Zion Pulsars. You don't have that luck.
We opened he opened up a second Vivid Voltage ETB. He's only opened 2 of them. He got one for Christmas. The first one he opened up, he got the pink and black Pikachu and the rainbow Pikachu.
Nice. That's big.
So we just opened one this week. His second pack, he got the yellow and black Pikachu V. Then he got the Pikachu VMAX, and then the last pack, Pikachu VMAX Rainbow. I told him we can't open anymore. Because that's like, I mean, you can't. He got 3. Yeah, but he didn't get the pink and black one, but in this one. But I mean, just crazy stuff, man. I mean, he's opened 2, and I mean, you're able to buy them. They're in Target, $40. So they're right there on the shelf. And but now he thinks you're gonna get that in every single pack. Now it's like every ETB has that. Meanwhile, he forgets we opened up so much Hidden Fates, and we still never pulled a Charizard. I mean, talking about boxes of that stuff and never got a Charizard.
I crushed that on release 2 years ago. But I do think you asked me another question about hockey. Yep. I think hockey keeps going up. I don't think hockey's going anywhere but up. The Gretzky sale really helped propel hockey into the limelight when it comes to collecting and investing. The new kid Alexis, I think it's Lafayette, his last name is for the Rangers. Yeah, I invested in him heavy. That was another product, right? So I ripped a case of Series 1. I purchased because it's so cheap. I ripped a case of it. And I got one Alexis base, and I got 2 SSP Young Guns. And there's a lot of Young Guns. It's 7 per box. I think there's 12 boxes per case. So do the math. It's a lot of Young Guns. And I only got 2 of the SSP French version. What that means is the Young Gun label on the bottom of the card is in French.
Cool.
So I was like, man, that's a rare hit. So what I did was I went on eBay and I started buying up all the Alexises on eBay that were the French SSP, because I had just ripped a case. I knew what the case hit odds were. I was like, let me go buy them all. So I was buying about $500, $550, $600 a copy. I think I bought about like 13 of them. And now they're up around raw about $800, $900 raw. So, there's no shame in buying around release day, because, you're going to end up setting the market or seeing the market move upwards as more interest comes in and people realize how rare a piece may be. And now I have them graded out, and I've been selling the 9.5s that I sent to Beckett for about $1,800 a copy, $1,700 a copy.
Wow. All right. Well, listen, we've stolen too much of your time, so we're going to end it with this. What's some parting words to our guys? Buy hockey, don't break, buy your raw opening week. What do we got? What's in a little nugget for Luka Nation? Because they love your insight.
I think to look at a lot of different things and come to your own opinion on things and go with your gut is the best advice I can give you. But as far as takeaways, look at comics. If you like Marvel, if you like DC, you like Star Wars, looking at that. Disney's doing a huge push into Star Wars universe, similar to how they did with Marvel years ago. So look into Star Wars, a lot of first appearance comics, a lot of origin story comics are going to be good pieces to get and good grades. Look at hockey a little bit more in depth. Connor McDavid stuff is going through the roof. There's other really good rookies out there that are still well priced that you can look at. And then, try to figure out what's hot next, man. Have fun with the hobby. I think the hobby is meant to be played with and like you're a kid again. So have fun with it. Don't overanalyze things.
So my last question is for my co-host. Hopefully he's still listening. I don't know if he is. He's still listening, and you can chime in on it. So unmute yourself, because we got to put a bow on the episode. Let's just say hypothetically that there's a chunk of our audience out there that is like me, and they're in cards and they're enjoying cards, and they want to get in on that hot investment. They have FOMO or they see that there's some real growth potential in cards, but they also hear about this cool thing out there that they just don't understand called Bitcoin. All right, they don't get it. They want to get it. They don't understand it, and they listen to this episode, and maybe they hear Bronamath and you guys who they trust. They trust their opinion on as proponents of it, and they see how it crosses over into the hobby, and they see how it it's viable, it's got some long-term potential, it's got some growth, and they're going to go from being the crotchety old man who says I don't get it, so I'm not buying it. Tell those people out there 2 things. 1, where to go to get more information about it, and then 2, more importantly, if they wanted to dip their toe in it, not go fully in, we're not buying a Jordan PSA 10 right off the bat, but they wanted to start maybe buying some of it. Where do they go to buy in? What should they be buying into? It's for you.
You want me to go?
Yep.
I think the first thing that people need to realize is I have no vested interest in you buying more Bitcoin. I literally couldn't give an AF. All I care about is educating people with the experience I've had. So my first job out of college was, my internships were in Wall Street. My first job out of college was working with a company called Coinbase. So I've been working with Coinbase since 2013 and 14. I share not even my passion. I just think that Bitcoin and crypto is here to stay for the pure reason that I've seen it mature and I've seen the infrastructure around it grow. So that's number 1. Number 2, I'm not telling anyone to invest in it at this price, but I'm a believer in blockchain long-term. So those are the 2 things. I don't know if that answers your question. Where you could buy it, you could buy it on the Cash App. You could buy literally $10 a day or $10 a week or $10 a month. And you just, what's it called? Dollar cost averaging. If you're just a believer in it long-term, you could just put $10 every month, $120 in a year, and just keep rolling that over. You could do that on Coinbase, on Cash App, Robinhood. This is a fun little topic. Robinhood doesn't actually it doesn't have a wallet feature. You can't send Bitcoin. You have to convert it back out to your US dollar. Did that answer your question?
Sort of. I mean, obviously there's enough places out there for it, to buy. But I could just do it right through PayPal.
I haven't, but I think they've recently added that feature. Bronamath, is that right?
Yeah, well, remember I'm anti-PayPal, so I can't tell you too much. But I believe they did. I know that's a Cash App. You can do it on there as well. But I think, Coinbase would probably be your best bet. I mean, granted, remember, I'm not big into this either. I mean, Andrew is a wealth of knowledge when it comes to this, obviously. This is just from my personal experiences that I've been locked out of my funds through that middleman platform. And now I've had a peak interest in alternate ways to receive funds. And that's why I've looked into it. And that's more all personal level. And for, obviously Andrew is the one that has the wealth of knowledge of this.
But think about it. Because I've been in crypto since 2014, I'm not a believer that much in Bitcoin. I hear these stories, and then I hear people send each other Litecoin, and it's approved or verified in less than a minute. And you see people that have had issues with PayPal that have used crypto to transact, and they've loved it. That's experience, isn't it? Like, isn't that what we share with our sports cards? We don't tell people to go out and buy a Tatis. We say, hey, this is what I'm noticing. I'm noticing Topps Chrome might gem more than Topps Paper. So if you're looking to grade them, take a look at them. It's just an area to explore. It's an area to learn more about, and not to stigmatize and be like, I only invest in sports cards. I don't believe in crypto, or I only believe in crypto. I don't believe in sports cards. Just educate yourself, learn. I think this guy named Pomp had a great podcast with Kevin O'Leary recently. One of our Luka Nation followers, since I've been talking about Bitcoin, reached out to me on DM, and he asked that same question. He said, Cage, he said, Andrew, where can I listen or learn more about Bitcoin? And I responded, I said, honestly, I don't go out there and learn much about Bitcoin from anyone else, because a lot of the people that are creating the content about Bitcoin have been in it for 2 months. So they're new in the hobby. But if you understand the fundamentals of it, I think you'll be good. I think if you just watch an intro to Bitcoin video on YouTube, that's 3.5 minutes, I personally think that's plenty.
Right. So we spent more time on it here. I love it. Wonderfully done.
Appreciate you guys.
Bronamath, you're the man. You get to see some behind the scenes, some fun over here. This is good stuff. We'll have you on every day if I could. I love it. I listen, Andrew's goal here in this stuff. Look at that setup. You gotta do your chaos. I love it. By the way, because you're not gonna be able to see this, guys, but I'm getting a glimpse into the it's a Steph Curry there, right? Steph Curry.
Yeah, 95. First edition. I was buying him before season, just knowing that he was going to take off. All he had to do was score some points. That's all that matters.
It just had to get back out there and actually play, right? That was the deal. He's got stacks of cards. Yeah. I see Topps, I see Lewis Robert, I see all kinds of stuff. That's good.
Draymond doesn't get a lot of love, but he does a lot for that team. He gets Curry open looks. He's a great passer as a big. Yeah. And playing with Wiseman, Wiggins, and Oubre, JV ass players, to be honest. And having Draymond, who actually understands how to play the game, super helpful.
He's the bathroom attendant. Everyone forgets him, but he helped you out.
Draymond?
Yep.
He does everything, man. He does a little bit of everything. And he was a little corny about how he goes about it, but so are we, maybe, to someone else.
How about a Swiss Army knife instead of a bathroom attendant? Poor guy.
Have you not seen, you don't watch Curb?
No, yeah, I know Curb. Yeah, I know what you're saying, which is funny. But the bathroom attendant, I can go to the bathroom and handle myself without it. But when that Swiss Army knife I can really use that right now. You don't realize how much you miss it. It's
how much are you using a Swiss Army knife in the restroom while you go to the restroom?
It depends. If the toilet paper thing falls apart and I need a screwdriver to put it back on, maybe I could use it there. It depends
I'm not fixing that. I don't get paid to fix that there.
If I ate really a lot of rice the night before, I might have used a corkscrew, help myself out there. I mean, it depends. Depends what you need. Bronamath.
The MacGyver in the restroom.
Depends what you need.
One last thing, Bronamath.
No, you're not allowed. Yeah.
I think he doesn't. I don't think you get enough credit for your content. I think you do. I think you're very. You got an artist side to you.
I appreciate that. Yeah, I just try to post stuff. You had mentioned earlier that you try to keep a behind the scenes and not so much show stuff. But I also think there could be the other coin to that, is allowing people to see more, right? So if I'm posting things, it's what I'm buying. There's no secret. I'm not hiding anything that I'm buying. I'm buying Robert, I'm buying Bo Bichette, I'm buying that before base.
And he cut out.
It
is a secret. It is a big.
He wants to keep it secret. He's. By the way, we're Andrew and I are looking. We're looking at a frozen.
Who should we?
Oh, he's back. We lost you for a second, but your face is frozen, and it's a funny one. I'm gonna take a screenshot of this and send it to you because it's pretty funny how you froze here. And it's fun, Andrew. How funny is it that he says, "I'm not keeping it a secret," and then it's frozen. I'm buying.
Sorry, you guys get me back now.
Yeah, you're back. You're back.
Yeah, no, I'm just. It's no secret. I posted out there, and everyone always asks me, who should I buy? What should I invest in? Like, just follow other people. I mean, you're gonna see and come to your own conclusion what you want to do.
Listen, we give a pick every day, so there's no secrets for us either, right? I mean, we're giving what we actually buy.
Exactly.
So I mean, it's every single day. I can't keep secrets, otherwise I run out of things to tell people to buy.
Yeah, but that's what makes you guys so genuine. That's why people follow you guys and appreciate what you're doing for the hobby. Is that you actually care about it altogether. If you want people to succeed, and there's other people in this hobby that don't want that, and to me, it's good to find the people that do, because those people you want to surround yourself with.
Well, listen, you don't make your light any brighter by blowing out somebody else's candle, right? Right. Exactly. Everybody, I want everyone to succeed, right? I don't want, I don't need somebody to fail for my success to be better. I want everybody to succeed.
Even Andrew?
Especially you, man. Listen, I want to come back 6 months from now, and Bitcoin is completely absorbed, and it's doing great, and I want to be told what a crotchety old idiot I am for not being in it. I already feel stupid, guys. Just so that we know, I don't know if I mentioned it on here, but Andrew told me earlier this year to buy into Bitcoin at 11.
What
at
about
a third of what it's at now?
Let's go get that Michael Jordan Fleer PSA 10. How is that?
He told me also to get a Fleer PSA 10 Michael Jordan, which I wish I would have bought.
Hey, let me ask you this, Cage. Here's a question for you.
Yeah,
would you rather have a Fleer PSA 10 Jordan or a sealed box of Fleer?
Right now, I'm going to say a PSA 10. Right now, a PSA 10 Jordan, not a sealed box. Because I've watched a lot of the recent openings, and the Jordans have been coming out pretty. I'd be nervous that people are going to see now that you get a Jordan, you get 2 Jordans, you get 3 Jordans. Some of them are off center, some of them are 8s. You know what I mean? Like the longer we go with the sealed boxes, the less great shape the cards are coming out. That said, I mean, let's just say you got mostly 9s in the box. What do you value a Jordan 10 at now? 2 and change, right?
Yeah.
It's hard to get that, even in a box of 9s. I like the box. Listen, it's close. It's close. I answered quickly because I'm a 10 guy. I'm a snob. Andrew knows this. I don't want 9s. I want 10s. That obviously there's a chance of a Jordan 10 coming out of a box. I think the box will do well too because of what we talked about. Like if somebody's gonna come up with a mutual fund, the sealed wax, and that box is gonna be in it. So that box will always do well also. But I'm not a sealed wax guy. I think it's great. I think it's a great investment. But if I had sealed wax in my house, I'd open it. Even an 86 Fleer box, I would open the damn thing. You know what I mean?
You know what's funny is the first edition Pokemon box sells for heavy money versus the PSA 10 Charizard. Well, it was. I don't know where it's at now.
Well, the Zard kind of caught up, right?
Yeah, it did. But then all of a sudden when people started realizing first edition boxes were being faked all around the place, the prices on those have gone up. And we haven't seen a real one listed or sold recently in the past couple months since the fake pandemic of boxes were coming out.
I hope my goal for next year is we have like live Luka Nation events. And in those events, maybe they're once every 6 months, we open like a sick box like that. So we do it live through YouTube and digital, but we also have an event there where people come and like open an 86 Fleer and open a Pokemon first edition.
Maybe a pack of 86 Fleer.
Once things get back to normal, I think it'd be cool to do like an event. You guys could have a hosted event and people can come in and do like a card show and some card talk and have some guest people there, similar to like a national, but a little bit more of a non-intimidating setting. I think national is intimidating to a lot of people.
Oh yeah, we would definitely do that.
Event, like on a Sunday or a Saturday night for sure. Most things do.
All right, well, listen, we will do that. That could be a promise. When the world opens back up, we 100% will hold you to that, and you're going to be one of the guests at a Luka Nation, get together. You're going to be one of the roundtable speakers. Bronamath, you're going to be out there. You'll give a tutorial on Dragon Ball Z or on something, right? So.
So much pressure you put on me.
That's it. That's the deal. Thank you, man. We appreciate your time.
I appreciate you guys. Thanks, man. You guys have a good one.
Thank you for spending some time with us on another episode of the Lukas, Tigers, and Bronze Oh My podcast. Do us a favor and like, subscribe. You know what? Don't just like and subscribe. Everybody does that. If you like us, tell your friends, tell your neighbors, tell your enemies, tell everybody. And we hope you got something from spending some time with us today, and we'll see you next time. Thank you.